Hey guys, Crewman here, and I am honored to be with Ed from Sapphire. Ed, can you tell us what your role at the company is?
Officially, I'm the North American PR director. I'm the guy that handles talking to reviewers and stuff like that. Unofficially, I'm the company's PC gaming evangelist.
Okay.
I'm the gamer geek in the company. I'm the guy that pushes for all the crazy stuff. What that means in the end is I do a little bit of everything. I help with customer support. I give feedback on product design. I help obviously with PR. I get to travel the country, go to LAN parties, talk about PC gaming.
That's
So I do a little bit of everything.
that's awesome. So today, I just kind of wanted to get your perspective because, as you know, we're dealing with I'm calling it Ramageddon.
Yeah,
uh,
I've been called it the Rampocalypse.
that's a
So
good one too. And we got that news today that Micron is basically pulling support for consumer, uh, basically for consumer RAM products. And I talked to some people this weekend, and I had said that if the three major companies decide to fix the supply, we would be in trouble. And I never thought one would pull out. So I just would like to get your
especially the biggest one. Micron's probably the biggest RAM producer.
I didn't know that.
Now here's the question though. How deep is the Micron thing really going? Now, what I mean by that is this. Micron started pulling out of the consumer end a couple of years back. They used
Okay.
to make a product line called Ballistic that was really popular amongst PC gamers. It was a really popular brand of RAM. It was solid. It did really well. They had a few other products with the name on it, and they one day said, "You know what? We're gonna kill off Ballistic." And they were at the time, it looked like, moving to a more generic consumer approach. So part of me is wondering, is this a continuation of that original move? Was this planned before the AI stuff started?
So
If it was,
go
the
ahead, sir.
good news is their production of chips for partners may not be interrupted. That's the part that's got me wondering. If the production for chips for partners is being discontinued as well, if they are pulling completely out of the consumer market to focus on this, then that's a huge deal.
So actually, I did want to ask you. So there was a few questions I had, and one of them is kind of related to that. The first one I have is because you work for Sapphire, and Sapphire does our AMD GPUs, which are primarily GDDR6. Do you think AMD's AIBs are going to have as hard of a time sourcing VRAM as Nvidia's are?
Well, first, have we ever got confirmation if NVIDIA is actually stopping producing RAM?
You mean
For,
bundling
for
it?
well, not bundling it. Bundling is a
I
better term.
Look, listen. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. My thought is we would probably hear or at least ask the
There'd
question
be a
at CES. But
there'd
before,
be there'd be more news, I think, around it if this was really happening. Now, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's feeling a little bit like Chicken Little at this point with this. So we all need to be calm and take a step back. Here's the good news. The RAM that's produced for GDDR is not the same die as what's produced for HBM, which is what's used in high-end AI chips or
mm-hmm.
graphics cards.
Yep.
And it's not the same RAM that's used for DDR5. So because of that, there is a hope. Again, we don't have enough facts to make a really informed decision yet, but there's a hope that that production doesn't get tanked. The counter to that hope, though, is there is only so much silicone production that exists in the world today. And if these companies want to shift that focus, they can take away from the other production.
Are
So
you
it's
are you
we don't
worried?
know yet.
Are you so sorry?
As a gamer, yes, I'm very worried about where we're heading, but I'm not just worried about where we're heading as a gamer. I'm worried about where we're heading in general when it comes to technology. Remember, these chips go into everything. They go into cell phones, televisions, watches. My watch is a smartwatch. They go into air
Yep.
conditioners, refrigerators, cars. the minute we start reducing the supply and availability of such a broad production lineup and ecosystem, and we start narrowing the confines like this, there's a chance for everything to get hammered.
Oh, I've been telling everybody who would listen to buy now. But what I was also going to ask you is, are you worried? Like, do you think Sapphire is worried about it, or do you think they know a little more than what we know?
I've not heard anything internally. I think most companies, I think Sapphire, XFX, Power Color, all of them have kind of at the higher market or higher levels taken a wait and see attitude.
Okay.
They want to see how this is going to go. Remember when we had the crypto boom?
That's where I got my start.
As gamers, we were terrified. We were terrified because we thought this was going to just destroy what we had literally created. We created a lot of this as gamers. What ended up happening was it, and I told everybody at the start this is going to happen. It was a bubble and it popped.
Yeah, but the only reason it popped. So I used to be in the crypto mining space, and so but the only reason it popped was because a few guys decided that they wanted to take the biggest crypto project and not make it mineable.
Well, I'm not sure that played a big part. I'm not going to say that didn't play a big part. I think with AI, what we're going to see happen is, and we're already beginning to see this. You saw this with Bitcoin. Bitcoin GPUs used to be everything.
Yep.
But then they developed specialized chips that worked much better for
it's a Lego
Bitcoin
version
mining.
of an ASIC.
Yeah. And it's really possible that we're going to see the same thing happen with AI.
So you think that'll cause you think we'll get like something where it's like they don't need GPUs or RAM, or it'll be like its own kind of thing?
Well, I'm not sure it'll be completely its own kind of thing. It'll still steal some of the silicone production because, again, we're back to there's only so much.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger bubble pop for this is going to be when we start looking at how do you actually make money at this. So let's use an example. Use something like Copilot for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
How does Microsoft make money at Copilot? I mean, they sell subscriptions to a more functional version. Most people aren't going to pay for that. So you're not going to sell enough to justify the billions of dollars that have been invested in the hardware to create something like Copilot. I don't see how they can. And so at some point, these companies, like I said, they're overvalued hard, really hard. And at some point, the market will correct.
But even if it does correct, right? We're so far in one side, like a bubble is something like a 30% correction, right? Even if we had like
at least
30% correction, is it really going to fix the market with how far we are in one side?
Well, I think that the first problem is you don't fix a market. Everybody thought this after COVID. Oh, the market's going to get back to normal. No, the market adapted a new normal.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the same with this. When this changes, this is going to adapt a new normal. I do think that we are looking at, and this is a personal opinion based on my experience and what I see. I think we're looking at a 6 month to 8 month really painful period as PC gamers.
How bad? Like, can you quantify that in like prices?
Well, it's hard to quantify it in prices because it's so fluid. I think we're just going to find it very hard to, if you want to build a new computer, to do it. We're going to find it expensive to repair because of RAM.
Yeah.
And that's a whole trickle down economy, by the way. Because remember, if you reduce the ability of enthusiasts to make computers, that reduces case sales, power supply sales, fan sales, cooler sales, everything
Motherboard
downstream gets
CPUs.
banged.
Yep.
So I think we're looking, like I said, 6 to 8 months. I think we're going to have this really rough period until things begin to stabilize. Now, that doesn't mean the pricing will get better, but it means the uncertainty will begin to disappear. We'll begin to have a playing field we could actually see again. Right now, we're looking out for a playing field, and it's like going to play golf in rolling mountainous moonlight terrain. It's too crazy to be able to make predictions.
Can I ask you something? Because you're probably one of the more knowledgeable people I've talked to on this, and you've given me the most optimistic prediction so far. So like, and I know it's in your opinion, and we're just talking opinions right now, and that's totally fine. So
that's all we can.
I totally understand. So like, what makes you? I guess I'm trying to say you're the most optimistic negative opinion I've heard. What makes you think 6 to 8 months? Whereas I've heard like maybe a year or two.
People have said for decades PC gaming was going to die. And every time they say it's going to die, it ends up suddenly coming back to life. There's an old country saying, you dance with the one that brung you. Well, the ones that brung the market we have right now in the enthusiast tech industry are PC gamers. Mm-hmm. We're the ones that created this market. I don't believe anyone of any real knowledge in the tech industry believes that they can abandon that market. Yeah, because that's the fallback. That's the fallback. When everything else goes to crap, they know PC gamers will keep them alive. AMD is a classic example of this. Without gaming, AMD would have been defunct as a company 10 years ago.
Yep.
But gaming, because of consoles, because of PC gamers, because of the enthusiast market, kept AMD alive long enough to get back on its feet.
Same with Nvidia.
Nvidia was created around gaming. Mm-hmm. So you've got this industry that knows it's got to take care of the gamers to some extent. At 6 to 8 months, I really think the industry is going to look at this and go, man, we better do something. Because if we don't do something to course correct this for gamers, we may never have this safety net again. So because you're going to have because envision this, all right? You've got Steam coming with the Steam Deck or whatever they're going to call it, Steam Box, Steam Deck, Game Box, whatever you want to call it, GameCube. That isn't a gaming PC. No matter how people try to spin it, it's not. It's a console. It's a console that takes the PC gaming market and opens it to console gamers. That's what its purpose is. It's meant to compete against the PlayStation and the Xbox stores. It's not meant to compete against the PC.
That's what I said all along.
But if they start ravaging the PC gaming market, PC gamers are just going to move to that. And when they make that move, when that move takes place, that's going to be a time when these companies are going to look and say, we may have just lost our safety net. Because once that move takes place, remember, got to go back and give you a little history. I used to run a company locally. We built custom computers. I did in-home and small business on-site service and repair. I had to eventually close the company, not because we weren't good at what we did. We were very good at what we did, but because the average computer user no longer has a desktop. They have this. They have a cell phone or a tablet.
That's fair.
And that fits their needs. PC gamers, when it comes to home computers, are a fairly forceful market. I just can't see the industry letting 6 to 8 months max a year go without trying to correct it somehow so that market doesn't just evaporate because they know they'll need it again before it's done.
No, and that's a great way to put it, and that actually kind of makes me feel a little better. Another question that I have that I know everybody's going to click on this and want to hear. I know AMD's been transparent, and I actually very much respect it because unlike the crypto boom, the COVID boom, GPUs just went up and everybody was quiet about it, and we all know that story. But how much do you actually think the GPUs will go up in price due to the VRAM shortage? Like,
Well, it's not the VRAM shortage as much as the general shortage. Remember, all of these parts share a lot of components.
yeah,
It's not one chip. This is some of the confusion. It's not one chip. There are a ton of different components in memory that are also on motherboards. That's also on GPUs. There's capacitors. There's PCB that have to be created. There's limited production capability. It's finite.
and it's the same.
And
It's on the same production as RAM, the same foundry.
well, not necessarily on the same production, but when you've got a finite level of production and you can't keep up, how do you fix that? Well, you take from other production lines to add to that production line. So this is the potential to what could happen. We could see all of this have a cascading effect. Like I said, GDDR isn't a RAM that's actually a big deal in AI. But because they need the silicon production to produce the RAM chips they need for AI, you've only got so much production space. What do? Well, you shut down some of that production and shift it over. That's how you do it. That's why you would see a RAM shortage. It won't just be RAM. It'll be a lot of factors involved before it's all done.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And one of the things that I'm worried about is, like, right now, the market is actually fantastic. I personally think the 9070 XT and the 9060 XT are the cards to buy right now. AMD is in such a better market position than Nvidia right now, but it's a tiny sliver that I think is only going to last for like another month. Like, when the supply dries up, I feel like the prices are just going to start going up and they won't stop.
Well, now I haven't heard anything on supply shortages yet, so
okay.
I don't know that that's necessarily something we're going to see quickly.
Really?
It doesn't mean it won't happen. I'm just saying they haven't told me anything about it yet.
Well, you know more than I do, so that's good to hear.
You're going to see a price bump. We already know that. Nvidia's talked about it. I think AMD's publicly stated it, that there's going to be a price bump in GPUs and in CPUs for that matter. And again, remember, CPUs don't need RAM production lines. They're price bumping because it's the component infrastructure is similar and you're losing the availability of some of those components. So you're going to see a price bump. The good news to me, the encouraging news, was it was not nearly as big a price bump that they announced that we expected.
Like internally at Sapphire?
Well, no, I'm talking about what AMD publicly said. Okay, because consider this, RAM is up what? 200%?
More than that. I don't even know that.
Okay,
it
so
changes daily. I don't even know the number anymore.
Let's be generous and say it's 200%. But you're only seeing AMD said what?
40
that it was going to increase
$60?
prices 10% maybe?
Yeah. Reasonable.
Okay, so that's encouraging. Because if there was that kind of a shortage like there is with RAM, you'd have seen that kind of a price bump.
Did you think internally, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but internally, did you guys think it'd be much worse when you heard about the rumored price increase?
I haven't spoke to any of our team really about the price increase. We tend to focus on everything we can that's good news, not bad.
So I have another question. So you were around during the crypto shortage, and you remember how bad. Like, I remember that the AIBs were the especially egregious ones for the price raising. And I get there's a market and all of that. I'm not blaming anybody. But what I'm asking is, do you think that we could potentially see prices reach that high again? Or, yeah.
I don't know if we can see prices reach that high because part of the problem was supply.
Yeah.
But the other part was demand. There were people willing to pay those prices to get that. Okay. I don't think you're going to see that this time around. I really don't see gamers rushing out and saying, you know, this card's supposed to be an MSRP of $600, but I'll pay $1,000 for it. Not in a big enough quantity to cause that pricing to be able to exist. I don't think we'll see it that high. I think we might see shortages. The good news is, and I know this may not seem like good news to some people, but relax. We are in a great place in the way the market exists right now as gamers, in the fact that if you go back a few decades, the upgrade cycle was almost must do every 8 months to a year. Now the upgrade cycle is 2 to 3 years and sometimes longer. Mm-hmm. You can have a much older piece of hardware and still be really viable in the world of PC gaming right now.
6950 XT.
Yeah, 6900, 6800 XT. These are good, solid chips. My wife was rocking a Vega 56 until a year ago.
Wow.
Okay. Well, actually 8 months ago, not even a year ago. And the only reason she upgraded was she got a new game that would not run on the Vega. That was it.
They used HBM memory, right? The Vegas?
No, that was the Fury.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The Vegas were good cards. They did the job. They were good. So we're in a place where we can stop and pause. But then I heard something that was funny the other day. Somebody's calling for gamers to boycott RAM sales. We're going to boycott RAM. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, they can't make enough to keep up. If we boycott it, the companies are just going to buy it.
It's so silly. You said something that really stuck with me, right? I believe, and a lot of people are really angry at me for saying this, but I believe we are going to see a change in the market where MSRP is only going to be the price of the product at release. I believe we're in a new age of spot pricing for PC components. And I don't think we're going to leave it for a long time, and people are not happy about that.
MSRP is marketing propaganda. Boy, I hope I'm going to probably get in trouble for saying that, but I don't care. You leave that in. You don't need to edit that out.
Sure.
MSRP is marketing propaganda. Now, what I mean by that is this. MSRP is a snapshot in time of production of a product.
That's it. That's what I've been saying.
And that changes so fast. It could be that the capacitor price goes up 5%, or the wafer price goes up, or the shipping cost goes up, or the packaging cost goes up, or tariffs, God forbid, change. You don't know what's going to change. MSRP is, we're launching this product based on this moment. This is what we believe it should be able to sell for. And the problem is the consumers don't understand that at the end of the day, Sapphire doesn't set the price of its video cards. Newegg and Amazon and Micro Center set the price of its video cards. We sell those video cards at a set point. They create their level of markup and then sell it again. And compared to the wholesale market, the retail market price is doing this all the time. The wholesale market price is pretty stable. It doesn't change a lot over the course of a month to 2 months to 3 months. It might change a little, but the corrections are usually fairly small. And the retail market is based not just on the corrections of the wholesale market, but on supply and demand.
Look at the 5090. The 5090 in August was $2,300. Now, right. You're lucky if you find one for $33. And once people realize that the Astral is their best bet if they want a 3090, once we crack that, I believe when the supply comes back, you're looking at a $4,000 5090. And like you said, did the price go up that much?
The 5090s are really rough beast to use for this though, because the 5090 is very viable for AI applications.
Yes, but what I'm saying is I totally agree, and I believe that's you don't compare that to the rest of the market, but in terms of the production cost didn't go up.
No, it didn't.
200. I'm just saying to prove your point, didn't go up 200%.
No, it didn't. But then again, you're talking about a card that, as I said, can be plugged into the AI solution and be very useful.
Yeah.
It's the only one in the current lineups that can do that. The 5080 can't, the 9070 can't. This is the card that can do that. And remember that the AI card markup is stupid.
Don't even get me. I have videos on that. Don't even get me started.
It's insane what the level of markup is. When you look at the markup of a gaming video card, you're typically looking at single-digit percentage points. Is the markup that companies like Sapphire, XFX, and stuff make on base sales. So they rely on volume of sale. They don't rely on an individual product. When you get to the AI video card, multiple hundreds of % of markup. Okay, that to me that's the very definition to be a price gouging.
It's just greed. It's straight up greed. People will pay it because they don't know any better.
No, that's the problem. It is greed, but people are willing to pay it.
Yeah.
You can't blame a company when somebody walks up to you. If somebody walked up to you today, and let's say you got a really nice car, you got a car you really like, okay? Somebody walked up to you today and offered you $100,000 for your car, and your car's worth $20,000. Well, of course you're going to sell the car for $100,000. You're going to have the keys. You're not even going to think twice about it.
You know what the crazy thing is? If I told you 4 years ago that a 90 class Nvidia graphics card would be a store of wealth, you'd look at me like I was crazy.
No, I wouldn't have, because the Halo cards like this have always been like this. Now, the level it is insane. I mean, but the Halo cards have traditionally gone up because when you get to the 90 level class from Nvidia, these are they're kind of like Ryzen 9. They're prosumer level products. They're products that are not just for gaming. They're for a lot of other applications. And that's why I tell most gamers, why are you spending that money? If you're not going to use the prosumer side, why spend that money? You don't gain anything.
You know, I was telling people, because some people were complaining, the two things. They were complaining that the higher end cards didn't have enough VRAM, and they were complaining that AMD didn't use CUDA. And I looked at them and I said, you should be thankful that the 60 or the 9070 XT does not have CUDA and does not have 24 gigs of VRAM, or you'd never see it.
Well, there is that.
And it's sad
there is that consideration.
But
I get a kick out of the whole CUDA argument that I hear from people, because people use that as their explanation as to why NVIDIA is better at productivity work. And what they don't understand is when you take CUDA out of the mix, when you run software that is hardware agnostic, it hasn't been optimized for anybody. It's just designed to run. AMD is faster than NVIDIA every time.
Look at the raster.
And they don't get that. They don't understand raw horsepower. AMD competes well with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just first got an amazing propaganda machine. And second, they have got the
Everybody
best
does
propaganda.
at this point.
Every political party on the planet would love to hire AMD for marketing. Okay, you could sell ice to an Eskimo in the middle of winter if you were NVIDIA was doing your marketing. You could do that. So NVIDIA's got this amazing propaganda team, and then they've got optimizations that they bought into. Well, and don't get me wrong, they deserve what they got. They bought into it. They paid the money. They did the development. They got the work done. But with AI, even, we're beginning to see this where companies don't want to get tied into their hardware because of their software.
Yeah. No,
They want to be able to pick the hardware they want.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a move to hardware agnostic software. And as that happens, you begin to see companies moving away from Nvidia products. You've got who was it? Who is it that's getting ready to use? Is it Amazon or Google that's making their chip? And it was like Microsoft is getting ready to use that chip.
They're all doing nonsense.
This is a weird argument. There's no reason for AMD cards to use CUDA. They don't
and I'm
need
with
to.
you.
And Nvidia's not going to let them.
No, and I'm with you. And like, to try to take it back to like the gamers, right? Like, that almost makes me like, so talking to you makes me feel a little better in terms of, I've been preparing people for GPU Armageddon, right? Like crypto level GPU shortages. But you're kind of making me feel like
I don't think it'll be that bad. I'm not saying it's going to be good.
No, but
I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be that.
And it makes me wonder if AMD will, look, I'm not pro. I want to get this out. I'm not pro AMD. I'm not pro Nvidia. I'm pro what's best for the consumer at the time. We live in a spot market where everything's a moving target right now, and I almost wonder if like the lower end graphics cards on both companies are going to save us at this point. Like the mid range, not the lower end, the mid range.
I think the mid range and the higher low end have always been the spot that really keeps gamers alive. Most gamers can't afford $1,000 video card.
No.
Okay, the average PC gamer. This is funny. The statistics are really interesting. Average PC gamer is like in his 30s. He's married. He's got a couple of kids. Okay, he can't afford $1,000 video card. You can't go to your wife and say, "Well, yeah, Sally's not going to get diapers this month because I need a 5090." You can't do that. The sweet spot in gaming is not 4K, it's 1440.
That's it.
So we don't need to spend that ridiculous. It's crazy. I get people, you get the elitist argument about this. You compare 1080p to 1440, there is a noticeable improvement in fidelity.
Massive jump, if you ask me. But
well,
4K?
It's noticeable. The key is it's noticeable. You don't have to measure it. It's noticeable.
Yeah.
You move from 1440 to 4K, and that diminishes a lot. It becomes a lot harder to notice it.
It's like the argument
the difference in hardware. It's insane. You don't have to have as much hardware to enjoy it.
No, and it's like the argument I have with people, like, okay, so like, how we have our personal opinions versus what we recommend? Like, my personal opinion, I hate upscaling. Like, I see everything that's wrong with it. But I'm in the minority, and I know I'm wrong, because upscaling is a great technology for people on a budget.
Except it wasn't sold that way.
No.
DLSS was sold to 90 and 80 series process or video card users because 4K and ray tracing. Okay, when I'm spending that much on a video card, it better not need software tricks to run games well, and it better make me a sandwich while I'm gaming. If I'm spending that much on a video card, upscaling, my philosophy for upscaling is this. It's good to fall back on if you're not getting there.
Yeah.
If you're not quite getting to where you need to be, it's good to fall back on. You should always try to get there without it.
I couldn't agree more. And that actually leads me to another question. Do you think, because people, you hear these rumors, and I don't know if any of these are substantiated, but do you think the low end 16 gig, like the 9060 XT 16 gig, the 5060 Ti 16 gig, do you think they're in danger because of the RAM shortage that's coming?
I think that from a market perspective, I don't know how the companies are going to actually do this. I don't have any insider information on this. From a market perspective, it would make sense that would be the first place to cut back, to take the low end back down to the 8 gig, because a 5060 and a 9060 are amazing 1080p gaming cards. They're incredible. They're good 1440. You can do pretty much all gaming at 1080p on 8 gig. You can do most gaming at 1440p on 8 gig. And when you add downscaling technology, now it becomes viable. That would be if I was going to be the person that made that decision. It's getting a little tough to get RAM. We need to do something to cut this back. That would be the cutback I would do. I would take the lower end cards, take off the 16 gigs, leave them on the 8 so that we still have that value proposition.
And then to take that a step further, do you think we'll see mid-range cards with lower VRAM counts, or you don't think they're willing to go that far?
I don't think they're willing to go that far because they're already taking enough flack for 16 gig.
Yeah, but so they're taking flack, right? But like, and again, I'm not pro either company, but I really believe what Frank Azor said, and I defended him, that 8 gig is plenty for most people. And if you test these cards, like I've done a lot of testing with these 8 gig cards, and they are good cards at the right price. Now, I think that price argument's going to go away in a few months, but right now, these are good cards at the price you can get them at.
I think that sometimes public perception is more important than the reality of the technology.
That's fair.
The classic example of this is Betamax. Betamax was a massively superior technology to VHS. Stupidly differently superior. Just incredible. But the public perception was VHS was the way to go. And so the industry did that.
And
what's happened is Nvidia, well, AMD was its own worst enemy with the 9070 generation. And the reason why was with the 7900, they went to 20 gig. Okay, that set a precedent. So everybody expected the 9070 XT to have at least 20 gig. And it only had 16. And that's why some people have given it grief. 16 is plenty. I think for the majority of gamers, 16 is fine. Now, if you're pushing a 5K display or you're trying to push ultra high-end settings on 4K, then maybe some additional VRAM would be helpful. But for the most part, I don't think it's going to be that helpful. The problem is the perception has been set that 8 gig is budget. And you can't sell a $400 or $500 video card with 8 gigs of RAM because you can't convince anyone, me included, that a $400 to $500 video card is a budget video card.
But yeah, but it's not. You've heard the saying, there are no bad GPUs, just bad prices, right?
Yes.
So at $300 to $350, those 8 gig cards are incredible. They're like a 30 to 40% upgrade over the previous gen. Both of them. And like last gen, the low end cards sucked from both companies. This gen, they don't. They don't. I mean, this is a good. Both companies have put out a good generation overall. That's been marred by the dumbest PR and supply issues.
Well, it's had a lot of issues. It's had unrealistic expectations set that the companies helped set. By the way, I'm not going to put this on the consumer. The companies helped set this.
Yeah.
And then the reviewers hyped it. Unrealistic expectations, a consumer public that's not really educated in what a lot of this means. I'm going to give you an example that I think can make sense because I fell for this. I normally don't fall for this. So the other day, I have 1 gigabit internet at my home. Okay, I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I've got 1 gigabit internet.
Yeah.
I had about a week where I was limited to 500 megabytes because of a modem issue and the replacement modem. They had a cheap one, but they didn't have the right one. That's okay. For a week, I figured I can suffer, right? I found myself looking all the time at speedtest.net. I'd see that 500 gigabyte and my heart would sink. My wife in the other room, who never cares about this, never noticed the difference because the experience is more important than the benchmark.
You and I have the funniest stories we can relate to. I got my brother-in-law into PC gaming. I built him a PC. He's an Arc Raiders fiend. We play all the time, right? He had some issues when his when his girlfriend who lives with him went on the internet, and he's like, I'm lagging, and I said, check your speed, and he was like at 40. All right, and he pays for, I think, 800 up, 800 down, and he was at like 40 up, 40 down. So then he started obsessing over the number. I helped him get some cheap hardware because he's on a budget,
Right.
like that his girlfriend had, and he was like, this is only 400 up, 400 down. I can't do that. He was freaking out, obsessing on the number, and then he finally got himself a cheap mesh router, and he got like 750 up, 750 down, and he's like, phew. But he hyper focused on that number for like 2 weeks.
You see, and the thing is with PC gaming, the actual gaming, the bandwidth usage of video games could be done on dial-up modems, for God's sake. The bandwidth. The problem with gaming is latency. Yep. You've got to have that latency really low. You got to have that really low ping. That's where fiber excels. The latency vanishes compared to dial-up, compared to DSL. The latency is gone. The bandwidth isn't what makes it great. So that's why when I hear these ISPs go, well, you're a gamer, you need a gigabit internet. No, you don't. No. The only advantage gigabit has over the other internets for gamers is downloading the game. But if I'm downloading a new game, I've got other games I can play while I wait for 45 minutes for my game to download.
Yeah.
It's not that big a deal. So it's the same thing with this. It's perception. We have just created a community that there's certain perceptions when it comes to how a product is expected to perform. And they seldom look at the reality of how the product performs.
So like, you know, we're hitting we're getting close to our limit, or our time limit in terms of like, the video length. So if you could leave so a lot of people are afraid. There's a lot of fear in the market right now. Even people who never talk about fear mongering. I'm not a fear mongerer, but I'm telling people they need to buy now. What advice, from being someone who survived plenty of events in this space and someone who's in the industry, right? Like, you work for an AIB, Sapphire. What would you recommend to gamers, to people who want to get into PC gaming, who are just scared right now? Like, what advice do you have for people?
Okay, well, first, get yourself out of the I must upgrade now mentality. If your gaming experience right now is smooth, your games are stable, they look good, they play good, and you're having fun, sit back, let this play out, see what's going to happen. Relax. There's no point in rushing out, throwing your money away, especially when in six weeks the price could change. Relax. If you've got a good, stable system, enjoy it. If you need to upgrade, make meaningful upgrades. Some people get too wrapped up in trying to get the ultra high end of everything. I know people that have 5700X 3Ds, and they think they need to go buy a Ryzen, an AM5. And they don't. People. That's a great, a 5800X, a 5600X can still be a very viable gaming system. So upgrade when you need to, not because you think you want to right now. Don't chase the benchmarks. Relax, play your games, let this settle down. There are going to be people that aren't going to listen to that. They're going to go nuts. They're going to go spend money. They're going to go on Discord. They're going to be Chicken Littles everywhere yelling that the sky is falling. When the sky falls, we'll all know it. It's not falling yet. It's got some cracks.
It feels like it is.
The ceiling's got some cracks, but it hasn't collapsed yet. I think realistically, like I said, I really think in 6 to 8 months, this is going to stabilize. I don't know if it'll be better, but it'll stabilize. And stability is better. This is something the big companies have all talked about. The tariff situation, it wasn't the tariffs themselves that were the big mess. It was the uncertainty, the constant changing. That's going to be the market for the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
Write it out. Sit back as long as you can, write it out. If you got to spend the money, you got to spend the money. There's no way around that. You've got a computer that died. But make decisions based on a budget, make decisions based on realistic expectations, and just ride this out. Because I think at the end we're going to come back. Well, we're not going to come back. We're not going to come back to what we had before this. It's going to be just like COVID. It's going to be a new normal, but I think it'll settle down and it'll smooth out.
You heard it from Ed. This is Crootman. I'm with Ed from Sapphire, and I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. You know, we haven't heard a lot of people in the industry publicly talk about their feelings, and it's nice to get you on here. And honestly, I did not expect to feel better after this interview, but I really
could help.
I really feel better, and I've been scared for months now. So again, this is Ed with Crootman Tech, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with us. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that like and sub button. Peace out.